Hello, everyone. I wanted to highlight y'all some very special books that mean a lot to me, that are absolutely life changing. Some of you may know, but some of you may not know. A big part of my story, my experience, and getting into and being awakened, basically was I just had a horrible, horrible experience with my ex-husband. We were going through a custody battle for the kids, and the battle would not end. He would file court motion after court motion after court motion about issues, anything from where the kids are going to school to who needs braces. It had to be resolved in court, as opposed to he and I working it out as two parents, and the longevity of the fight and the isolation of the fight and the financial stress from the fight just really became too much for me. And I just got to a point where I just felt like God, I don't want to do this anymore. I became severely depressed. I believed that I was no good to anyone, to myself or my kids. And that's when that's when I began some kind of way aligning with the near-death experience. I started listening to these near-death experiences on YouTube, and I don't know how I even learned about them. I mean, I didn't even know anything about a near-death experience. And this was before podcasters highlighted all the indie ears in one show. So I kind of would have to search them out. And so I don't know if like I searched what happens if you die, what happens to us when we die. I don't know. I had grown up in the church, but at that point, religion just had very little for me. Um, I didn't feel like it had any answers for me. And I guess I just was in a space where I really wasn't looking for rules, and regulations. I was looking for something more, and I didn't know what that something more was. And so I was looking at these near-death experiences, and the whole time that I was looking at them, my mind was like, why are we looking at these videos? Like, what are we doing? Now, it's interesting, y'all. I have to point out, it's interesting that the entire time that I was thinking about dying or harming myself, my mind did not question me then. I got no questions. I got no, what are we doing? Why are we thinking this? Why are we doing that? The ego didn't question me at that point. I only got the questions within myself when I started looking at the near-death experiences. It was like, why are we looking at this? So that's interesting, that the ego did not question me when I wanted to harm us. Anyway, so I found out about the near-death experience, and I found out that we reincarnate over and over again, and that we are divine beings. And it was like, oh, okay, all right, we're divine beings. We've done this before. We've had many lifetimes. And then I thought, what did I do to this man? What did I do to this man in a previous lifetime that he would have so much resentment, anger, and bitterness all directed toward me in this lifetime? It was not the bitterness, the anger, the resentment, the hatred was not commensurate with the activities. I know it can get contentious, when we get a divorce and we're involved in the court system, but it just felt like this is too much. Like, this is not just about this lifetime. That's how I felt. And I felt like, y'all, I was convinced that I had kidnapped this man in a previous lifetime. Like, I was convinced that I was a man in a recent previous lifetime, and that he was a woman, and that I kidnapped him and did horrible things to him, you know, and that he, it was karmic, and that this lifetime he was going to balance that karma with the hatred and resentment. And so after I found out, y'all, that we were divine beings, right? And that we reincarnate, I discovered these beautiful books. And I've had Robert Schwarz on the show before. That was a whole full circle moment for me, y'all, when I had Robert Schwarz on the show. Anyway, his books really just helped me. They're called Your Soul's Plan and Your Soul's Gift. And he also has another one that's called Your Soul's Love. And the books are all about, it says, discovering the real meaning of the life you planned before you were born. And it talks about the life challenges that we choose before we were born, right? And so when I read these books, like, and he goes into any life challenge, blindness, deafness, drug addiction, adoption. What am I forgetting? I mean, he goes into so many disabilities. He goes into so many different areas. Any life challenge you could possibly have, he addresses. Mental illness, abuse. So anyway, he and after reading these books, I really was convinced. I'm like, okay, what did I do? And because Robert talks about that the soul wants that balance. It's not about karma. It's not about you've done something wrong and now that soul wants to get you back. It's not so much as that. It's about balance. The soul is always looking for balance. So one of the examples that he gave, that if in this lifetime a parent has a child that has physical disabilities, and that parent devotes their life to assisting their child in living and having a quality of life, that the soul of the child, once they transition, may say, I want to know how that feels. I want to show up for somebody like this soul showed up for me. I want to show up for her and serve her in the same way, right? So that is kind of an example of what we're doing when we're looking for balance. So a lot of times we always color everything with fear, right? Karma, you've done something wrong and now something wrong got to be done to you. It's not about that. It's more about balance. So anyway, let's get to the juicy part. So after I read these books by Robert Schwarz, I just was like, he highlighted two powerful psychics and mediums. And I reached out to the psychic that was Stacy Whales, and her name is Staci, Stacy Whales. I reached out to her because she was the psychic that actually could look in on the pre-birth planning, y'all. And so I reached out to her and I was like, I need a pre-birth planning reading. I need to figure out what was my intention as a soul to have this experience with my ex-husband that would be so dark and so tumultuous that I no longer wanted to live. I had to get that um, information. I had to get that information. So I reached out to her, and I paid for a pre-birth planning reading. And y'all, so okay, where do I start? Where do I start? So I did not, so I was convinced that I had approached him, and that at the very least, I was convinced that I had approached him during the pre-birth planning phase and said, I want you to be this dark energy that's going to push me into the light. But she told me that it was, in fact, him that initiated that pre-birth planning of our lifetime. In the most recent and directly related lifetime that he and I shared, both he and I were in the arena of healing. And let me get this right, he was a German doctor in the late 1800s. He was born in Germany in the late 1800s, and he moved to Britain to practice in the early 1900s, before World War I began. And because he felt that the British people were more advanced in the arena of healing than in Germany. However, because he was German, he was ostracized by his coworkers. And there were many of them. They did not respect his work, no matter how many developments he made in his work. They didn't respect him or his work, and he became very socially and professionally ostracized. And I was his assistant. And as his office assistant, I kept up with his research and all that stuff. I saw the level of pain and turmoil that he was in as a result of not being respected by his colleagues. And so she said, because of this great big heart of compassion that you had, you were, you felt empathy for him. You were there for him, and you just supported him during that time when he was going through all that. And she said, during the pre-birth planning for this lifetime, that he had asked me if I could be his compassionate mistress, is the soul level language that was used. Now, he and I were not romantic at all in that lifetime. We had, in fact, have never been romantic in any of the lifetimes that we've spent. This is the first one. But he referred to me as his compassionate mistress because, we were close. We became very close. As a matter of fact, she told me that even though he was alone, he did not have a family of his own. On his deathbed, me and my children, the children that we've had in this lifetime, were by his side on his deathbed. And even though they were not his kids. So I supported him in that lifetime during that turmoil. But one of the things that she talked about, she said, as a result of him being ostracized, he harbored a slow anger, resentment, and distrust over the years, and a sense of revenge built up in him. And so he died with that resentment in his heart and incarnated in this lifetime with those same vibrations, those same dense vibrations in this lifetime. Uh, and so he asked me, he knew that he would be dealing with those issues in this lifetime. And he asked me if I could be with him during that time when he's purging those dense energies out. And my answer to him was, yes, I will, but for a little while. And you have to give me children. Because I learned, Stacy, who was incredible, also informed me that in that lifetime, I lost all three of my kids. I lost my oldest, who was my oldest in that lifetime. She died of the flu. And I guess in those times the flu was deadly. It can be deadly now, but it definitely was deadly. So she died of the flu, and then the other two that I have, her younger siblings, died. They worked on the ship, and they were, you know, they fell overboard some kind of way. I guess they were in a storm, and both of them drowned in that lifetime. So I was devastated in that lifetime where I lost all three of my children young. So I wanted to have this lifetime where I would spend with my children. And so that was the agreement. Yeah, I'll do this with you, but you have to give me our children. And he agreed on that. And so after finding that out, I realized, no, I had not kidnapped him and done these atrocious things to him. Quite the opposite. I was a loving energy for him. I held space for him in that lifetime, and he wanted me to do the same in this lifetime. And I guess I kind of thought about this to share with everyone, that when people have resentment or anger or hatred or bitterness or even revenge against us, it may have nothing to do with us. It may be all about their own evolutionary journey. It may have nothing to do with us. And even if we cannot place blame on ourselves for activity we've done in this, and there's always room for personal responsibility, right? In any situation we're in with anybody, there is always room for personal responsibility, and to say, okay, how have I contributed to this situation, to this energy that I'm sharing with this person? So always there's room for personal responsibility, but sometimes it has nothing to do with you, and could have everything to do with that person's evolutionary journey and what they've dealt with and how they decided to purge those dense energies out. And my soul knew that I would remind him, me having this lifetime with him would remind him of that lifetime on a soul level, and that those energies would resurface. And interestingly enough, he held the same kind of resentment and bitterness with his current coworkers in this lifetime. So it really is amazing to me how if we don't resolve things in our lifetime, and we transition with that stuff, whether it's bitterness, angers, unforgiveness, right? We got to work that stuff out in the next lifetime. That's why it's always important to work through those things now, Don't wait to transition to get in the vibration of love. Be in the vibration of love now. Work out those resentments now. You do not want to transition with that stuff in your heart. But I wanted to talk about this to remind everyone again that if someone is working something out, if they have this anger and resentment toward you and you cannot place it, you're wondering, like, why does this person, what did I do? It may have nothing to do with you. Let them be in the space that they are in. Do not accept abuse from anyone, and always decide whether being in someone's presence serves you or not. But don't always be quick to self-blame. And that's what I did. I took on responsibility to his energy to a degree that was not right. It wasn't fair to me. It was in error. And so that was a big lesson that I learned from that is uh that had nothing to do with me. I internalized that to the point where I did not think that I was any good to anyone. But sometimes people's stuff could just be their stuff. It may not have anything to do with you, though it may be for you. And what I mean by that is his deep egoic consciousness, the darkness, the resentment, the hatred, the harassment, the constant battles in court. It pushed me to a point where any kind of illusion in this physical realm was blown away. I knew that there was nothing here that could ultimately make me happy. It gave me so much clarity to the degree that I just knew there was nothing here for me. And it made me dig for something deeper, right? And I didn't know it at the time, but it made me dig for something deeper. So though his energy had nothing to do with me, it worked in my benefit, right? It allowed me to grow and evolve and gain wisdom and compassion and show up for myself and love myself, you know. So I just wanted to encourage everyone to, if you are dealing with a life challenge right now, I encourage you to get Robert Schwartz's books. They are incredible. They break it down from a soul level, why we choose certain life challenges, what is to benefit in those life challenges, and how it serves us and others. I encourage you to do that and to not, I know some people, when they think about pre-birth planning, number one, it infuriates some people, and I get it, where it's like, there is no way I chose this, right? But if you could look at it in a way, and I'm not trying to sell it on anyone, if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, right? But if to imagine, okay, if I did choose this life challenge, that means I can transmute these dense energies as a result of this life challenge. There is something here for me. For some reason, my soul wanted this experience. And the beauty of Robert Schwartz's books is it talks about the reasons why. Why would we choose drug addiction? Why would we choose adoption? Why would we choose to be blind? Why would we choose to be deaf? Why would we choose to have, a child be autistic. That he talked about that as well, which was fascinating on the soul level, why the soul level chooses to come in with autism. It's really, y'all listen, I say this all the time. We have so many layers to us. And to us as human beings, these life challenges are tragic, right? They're tragic in time. But to the soul, they are rich experiences. To the soul, they are very rich experiences. It's invaluable information and experience to the soul. And so, I just wanted to encourage everyone to know that we are powerful orchestrators of our lives. That knowledge will never be used to say, oh, well, you chose that. No, that's not the higher perspective. Having that knowledge says, I am a powerful being of love and light. And this challenge is not bigger than me. It did not choose me. I chose it. There's something here for me. And once I get that, I'll be able to help myself and others in ways that are beyond my understanding. When I did not want to be here, y'all, I used to have a thought every now and then, and it was not my thought, but a thought would come up to me in me that would say, maybe this can help somebody one day. And I just remember thinking, what? What in the what? What? Who is that said that? That's absurd. I'm no good for anybody. I'm not even any good for myself. But there was something that would say that every now and then. And in the same way, whatever challenges we're all dealing with, there is purpose, guys. There is purpose. And there's a reason. And it's nothing that's going to take us out. This is just content. This is content. And I don't say that from a naive place. I've been in very, very dark places. I've been in hell. Okay, we create hell right here. I've been there. So, but we don't have to be victim to anything that we experience. Once we get to a point where we understand that whatever is going on can work to our benefit, it will shift your entire perception of yourself and others, right? It shifts from victim consciousness to the director and the orchestrator of our lives, right? And once we do that, it only requires us to change our belief system. I believed I was a victim. And when I believed I was a victim, I was starting to entertain the idea of harming myself. But once my belief system changed, and I thought, oh man, wow, I chose this. Whether I didn't know the details of him approaching me. I didn't know any of that. But once I read these books and I knew I had chosen it, it changes the game, right? A lot of indie ears talk about us being in the game. It changes the game. It changes the game. And once our beliefs change, our speech changes and our actions change, we manifest and create a happy dream, y'all. It is all about our belief system. If we believe, that we are victims, then we would create in that way. And I love the truth. To me, that is the essence of the truth setting us free, right? When the Bible says, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That is the truth. That's the truth that will set us free. We are in an exercise of remembering. That's what we're doing. We are here to remember. That's what we're engaging in, y'all. And when I got that information, it connected all the dots for me. And once you were able to do that, you remember a little bit more of your soul's journey. And you don't blame yourself like the ego wants to do. And you say, okay, this is what I chose. Let's do this. There's something here for me. Let's do this. It changes the game, y'all. So anyway, y'all know I could talk about this all day long. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for engaging in this conversation with me. And I just encourage us all to continue to consider, okay, I chose this life, whatever it is, I chose this situation. What is the gift that is in this for me? What is the gift that is in this for me? Because that gift will bless y'all. I'm telling you, it will bless you. I would probably be pretty shallow if it were not for that heavy experience, y'all. I definitely wouldn't have the level of compassion that I do if it were not for me experiencing those heavy energies. I wouldn't be it's important that we understand the soul level journey and the things that we look to receive in these lifetimes, because you are a blessing. You are a blessing, and you chose to be here. You are a blessing. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are as God created you. That's a lesson in the Course in Miracles. You are as God created you. You are just as whole, just as divine, just as innocent as when God created you. So I love y'all. I love you all. Thank you for hanging out with me. And yeah, thank you for engaging with me in this process. And until next time, y'all, sending you heart, sending you love. Remember that which you are, and remember there's no life challenge that is bigger than you. There is no life challenge that is bigger than the soul essence that you are. We are not our bodies. We are not our thoughts. We are not our actions. We are not even our experiences, y'all. This is one of many. This is a blip on the screen of many lifetimes that the soul has engaged in. Connect to your bigness. Connect to the God that is within you. I love y'all. Have an amazing day. And until next time, talk to you later. Bye-bye.